Hello. Hello. How are you today? I just got a new mic and I thought I'd do some ASMR, some Treecat ASMR. What do you think? Little bit of fun with ASMR today. Sorry, I just got this new Blue Yeti mic and I'm kind of in love with it. It's kind of awesome. Hope you guys are all doing well today. Hello, it's Michelle with Treecat. I hope you guys had a great Valentine's Day. I hope you got to spend it with somebody you love. I know I did. I got to celebrate my 26th wedding anniversary with someone I love. Shout out Mr. Treecat. this man has been putting up with me for like over 30 years. He deserves a medal. Love you, babe. Let's just get right into it today. We are talking all things Treecat. The little cross-listing service that lets you use automations, helps you manage your inventory, helps you not double sell, and all other kinds of great stuff. What are we talking about today? Let's just get into it. I guess since we're on the subject of love, having just experienced Valentine's Day yesterday, we can talk about my love/hate relationship with Mercari, right? Let's just address the elephant in the room. Mercari, if you're a Treecat user, you may have experienced some intermittent Mercari syncing problems, but guess what? We just fixed them. Mercari broke it, we fixed it. And that's the name of the game, right? In the past, they've broken things and we fixed it pretty quick. And this one took a little bit longer, so that was a little frustrating. But we're now reliably able to handle all of the CAPTCHAs and reliably sync the listings back and forth. So give that, if you took a little break from Mercari cross-listing, you can get back on that right now. And if you have any questions or concerns about that, we've got our little question mark. If you go into Treecat, you can go to the very top right here and you can see our question mark. And that's how you can contact us with any support issues you might have. So do I love Mercari? In some ways I do. Like, as a person that runs a cross-listing service, not so much. But I do have to say, I do have to commend them. They're constantly changing things. They're constantly breaking. You think eBay's bad. Mercari is even worse in terms of, connecting with them as a cross-listing service. But I have to commend them in some ways, right? Because they're constantly trying to disrupt the marketplace with cool seller-friendly stuff. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like them is as a seller, because I'm also a reseller. They're very sort of seller-friendly. So it's a love-hate relationship. I admire some of the things that they've done recently. Like in the last year, they tried to get rid of seller fees, essentially, right? I mean, that was pretty groundbreaking. Of course, they had to backtrack on it because then the buyers didn't want to buy. But like, at least they tried, right? And like, they just keep doing stuff that's like definitely on the seller friendly side of things. So like, I don't know if you saw the news last week, but they made an announcement that they're getting rid of public comments. And I just read about this a week ago or so on Value Added Resource. And so, they decided to stop the public features thing. And I guess it was and that's the thing is like, I feel like they listen to their customers. And that's another thing that I really like about Mercari is just how much they listen to their seller customers, right? They're sellers in addition to their buyers, but also their sellers. So from a seller perspective, thumbs up Mercari. From a buyer perspective, I mean, I didn't buy a lot of stuff when they shifted all the fees to the buyer. I'm going to be honest with you. And I didn't sell a lot of stuff when they shifted their fees to the buyer. But now things are starting to pick up for me a little bit because they shifted back and it's a little bit more balanced. Their fee structure, they kind of splitting it now between their buyers and sellers, which is probably the best way to go. So that's my love-hate relationship with Mercari. What's your relationship with Mercari? Do you love, do you hate? Do you have a little bit of mix of both? Like I said, my sales have started to get back to increasing with them. And the other thing I like about Mercari is, pardon me a second, my little bit of chapstick here. The other thing I love about Mercari is just like, I love their search algorithm. It's just very simple, right? And so anything that gets to the top in search is what's going to get the eyeballs. They don't have a very complicated search algorithm like eBay or even like Poshmark. Poshmark is starting to, charge and do the whole ads thing and nickel and dime you and make their algorithm a little bit more complex. Luckily, they still allow people to do Poshmark sharing, which also does the same thing as their ads program. Honestly, by the way, shameless plug, free for Treecat users. If you're cross-listing with Treecat, you get free and unlimited Poshmark sharing. So give that a shot. But yeah, I like the simplicity of their algorithm because I can use Treecat's delist relist to boost my all my listings to the top of search on a regular basis because we have the delist relist feature, which is also free, by the way, if you're cross-listing with Treecat. And that's just a way to boost your items. And the cool thing is when your items are matched, right? Or you've either cross-listed them or you've gone through our fast match process and matched them together. If you're just doing your delist relists on Mercari, everything is still going to stay together as a match. Let's say I don't want to do a bunch of delist relisting on eBay or Poshmark. I just want to do delist relist on a regular basis and I schedule it, right? So I schedule it so it's automated. It happens like every couple of weeks. If you're doing it, you got to do it on Treecat so that the links are still together and that when an item sells on one of your platforms, the other two are still sales detected and taken down. So another reason why I like Mercari. But that being said, it is challenging sometimes to work with them as a cross-listing company, but we're going to keep on keeping on because we do have a lot of users who like using Mercari. So yeah, and then we've got some more platforms coming out in the near future, looking very heavily at Depop. Love to get your feedback about that. If you're a Depop user, love to hear what you like about it, what you don't like about it, etc. So yeah, that's my rant of the day. The other things that I wanted to talk about were some announcements. We wanted to make, sorry about that. We wanted to make announcements about some improvements that we've made. We're always making improvements. Every week we improve something based on customer feedback or user feedback or just something that I see or our affiliates and channel partners see, and they're like, hey, we would love this if you would add this feature, if you would change this feature. So one of the features that we recently changed is we made an improvement with our bulk autofill. So if I wanted to bulk select, so I'm in my inventory page right now, right? And if I wanted to bulk select all of my Victoria's Secret items, I could then go to the main actions and select autofill 53 items. So this just means now I can go cross list those 53 items. And personally, I start all my listings on eBay and then they get synced in automatically. We're always monitoring 24/7 for any new listings. So I don't have to push any buttons. It just syncs, Treecat just syncs it in for me. And then I can start cross listing it. So I start on eBay and I'm telling autofill, hey, I want all of these 53 items to be cross-listed from eBay to Mercari and Poshmark. And then I click the autofill button. I'm not going to do this right now because they're already cross-listed, but if they weren't cross-listed, you would just click autofill. And then they would be, this is the card view, they'd be in a different view. So they'd be in a view that lets you scroll. It's one view, listing, one listing after another. So you can just do all 53 in the same tab. Okay, so that's the improvement that we made with our bulk autofill. So before it was a little bit buggy with the selecting bulk and you could just select maybe 10 or something, but now you can select a lot more. So we improved the bulk autofill, which is really great. Let's see. So what I wanted to get into today is kind of an issue that I've been having with okay, so with Treecat, oops, sorry. I keep forgetting that there's a new mic here. Love the mic, but I got to get used to it. So I've been selling for many, many years, and I think it's been a wonderful experience to have such low overhead, right? I keep my inventory in my basement. I keep my inventory in my garage. And now that my daughter is married and moved out, I keep my inventory in her old room. Unfortunately, spilling out into other areas of the house, and my family is not super being super supportive about my business anymore. I feel good about things because I've got my virtual inventory under control. I'm using Treecat for my inventory management. I've got a full inventory management system, and I feel really good about where my inventory is at. I don't have to, because I'm not double selling anymore. I'm able to keep track of, like, if eBay loses a listing, there's a backup on Treecat and so forth. So like, I feel really good about my virtual inventory management. But in terms of my actual inventory, I have a great inventory system. Like, I have everything in bins, and I have them all labeled, and I have a custom SKU that, by the way, gets imported. Anytime I import, the listings come in, they're auto detected and they come into Treecat. That custom SKU that I put in on eBay gets imported as well, and then I can search. That's one of the search terms for our the way that we have our inventory management. You can search by custom SKU. You can search by a bunch of different types of search terms, but that's one of the ones that we recently added. Like, you can search by color, by date it was listed, by type, gender, any of the categories, anything that's listed in the title, anything that's listed in the description. So any of that stuff is searchable for inventory management system that we have. But I've got all this inventory, and I feel great about my virtual situation. My virtual situation is handled. It's covered. I've got Treecat there for me, helping me keep everything organized, helping me make sure my quantities are in sync. And it's just great. I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but it's really, really taken away a layer of complexity and stress in my reselling. But in terms of my physical inventory, it's kind of taken over the house, and people that I live with are not super happy about me using some of these rooms, or even the living room. Like, my workstation is kind of like adjacent. We have like a living room that's kind of a everything room, and so like my desk is kind of like in the corner of the living room, and then like I have my staging area where I put my stuff that I sell, and I do sell women's bras, so that might be like an extra added like embarrassment factor for my family, like especially for my son. Like, he has friends coming over, and they see all and they're plus size bras, so they're really like, they're big bras. I am thinking of getting a storage unit. It's been many years, and I've been able to manage everything in the house and have the wonderful low overhead of just using the garage and the basement, and now my daughter's room. And my business is to a point where I can probably, spend that money to have a storage unit. So I've been looking at getting a storage unit. And one of the things I started doing was I just started, searching the web, and I saw some cool videos. And one of them is from this guy, Quarter Flips. He has a really good channel. You might want to check his channel. He's like an everything seller. A lot of he sells like media and collectibles and stuff like that. And he talks about his experience. Like, he also, I think he does, looks like he does buyouts of storage units and stuff like that. But he was talked about his experience with getting a storage unit. And then somebody, when I was telling somebody about the fact that I was thinking of getting a storage, like finally breaking down and getting like the storage unit, they were like, you have to read this article in Slate. So it's an older article, and they forwarded it to me through archive.is, which is really cool. If you don't know about it, you can go on it, and if you have the URL of an article, you can put it in there, and it'll bring it back from a month ago or whatever, or even if it's older. It's kind of like Wayback Machine, and it's like similar to like a Wayback Machine. It's a cool thing. So I was reading this article on Slate about storage units, and I was like, oh, okay, some things to be aware of. Okay, so apparently there's like, since this article talks about like since the pandemic, what's been going on in this industry, and I had no idea that the storage unit industry was such a big industry. And apparently they were booming during the pandemic because people were needing, I don't know, maybe they're at home more and getting frustrated with like me with having a lot of stuff and everyone was in the house kind of complaining about it. I'm sure that was the case. but yeah, like it sounds like it's a huge business, right? A $56 billion business. That is good money. But apparently they do some kind of sneaky things. Like they'll make introductory. This article basically tells the story of this lady in Texas who decided to rent a storage unit. She got in on a really good deal. Like they'll give you a really good deal, and then they'll start doing rate increases like the next month. And this article was saying like they'll do like a 500% rate increase, and like it was 200 to 300% rate increase, and like so you'll get in at this really like good rate, and you're thinking, oh, I'll be paying that rate, and then like a couple months later it goes up by 200 to 300%. And there's apparently this is a thing in the storage unit industry. It's called existing customer rate increase, and they're doing it on purpose, right? This is a way for them to, and actually, it's if you've been an eBay seller for a long time, I think eBay kind of does the same thing. Existing customer rate increase, right? They get you in, and then they start nickeling and diming you and charging you more for this and that. So it's obviously it's if you have an MBA, you probably know all about this, or if you're a numbers person, you probably know all about existing customer rate increases, ECRI. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm going to be very and also this article goes on to say that like they flaunt this, right? So within the industry, they're doing trainings with their franchisees or whatever. They brag about this, about how they do these ultra low offers, and then they get them in there, and then a couple months later, it's way more expensive, 30 to 40%, aggressive rate increases. So they know what they're doing. And, you've basically signed a contract at that point, so you're locked in. So I guess the answer here is, make sure that you are, this article also said that it's the bigger companies that are doing this because they can afford, to cycle people through, whereas it's more the mom and pops who don't do this kind of like aggressive rate hiking. So that was interesting to hear. I think I'm going to make sure that I maybe stick with a less, I think this article actually gives the names, of some of the companies that are considered bigger companies, like Public Storage, U-Haul. Yeah, so these are the names of the ones that are the biggest players in the industry. So Public Storage, Extra Space Storage, U-Haul, National Storage Affiliates, Cube Smart, Prime, and Storage Mart. So they rank among the largest companies. So I'm going to maybe stay away from those companies. But I think that the other thing that I'm going to do is before I sign any contract, I'm going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. And, you can put this stuff into AI nowadays and have AI look at it for you and maybe give it a prompt like, hey, take a look at this, contract and tell me, in simple terms, what am I getting myself into, or whatever your prompt is that, you use to sort of analyze things. I just use the Microsoft one, that like Autopilot or whatever, Copilot or whatever, for stuff like that, and it's really helpful. So you're going to want to make sure you go through that contract with a fine-tooth comb, and before you sign anything, understand what the terms are, because it can be costly to get yourself into a whole year of paying for something, and the rates are just continuing to go up at a really kind of an unfair, steep rate. So I've just been trying to figure out the whole storage unit thing. I'm going to keep doing some more research on it and see what's in my area that's more mom and pop owned. And I'll be keeping you guys abreast of all the ongoings in that area, because I'm actually excited to have my house back, to be honest with you. But as usual, thanks for tuning in today. If you have any questions for Treecat, you can reach out to us at support@treecat.io, contact@treecat.io. We have the question mark. We have our Reddit forum. And you can ask us any questions that you want. We're here for you. And I hope that you guys are having a great weekend. We'll see you next time on some Treecat Chat. Have a great day. Mahalo.